Okay, today I'm going to be taking EV Magazine to task again. I know it seems like I'm picking on them a lot, and honestly, um, in a way, I feel like I feel more entitled, if you will, to do so because they are ostensibly cultural allies who are anti-feminist and definitely, or at least anti-third wave feminist, anti-radical feminist, anti the insane trends that are being promoted as mainstream today. And so, but it's a woman's magazine, with glitz and glamour geared towards young women who are not feminist types and who define themselves as conservative or traditional, or at least as conservative-ish or traditional-ish. So, so this is what I want. This is what I want to talk about today. This interesting article titled "Golden Penis Syndrome." What it is and how. What is it, and how is it affecting your dating prospects? So this is an article, remember, being geared towards young women. Golden Penis Syndrome. Okay. So what's this all about? I'm not going to read the whole thing, don't worry, but I just want to cover some highlights and then talk about my thoughts. So it reads, today's young women are being faced with far fewer attractive dating prospects on college campuses. Because there's a lot fewer men who are going to college these days. But that's not a crisis in masculinity. How dare you say that? You backwards thinker. Anyway, and seemingly everywhere else, they're frustrated with ghosting, cheating, and other forms of bad dating etiquette on the part of men who are reaping all the benefits of detached sex among today's abundance of single young women. Interesting. A term has been coined to describe this phenomenon, golden penis syndrome. I have to say, I've never heard this term. I've never heard this term before. Wasn't there a Austin Powers movie, like Golden Balls or something like that? That doesn't sound, it was something like that, but not quite that. Anyway, the term refers to the phenomenon where a small number of men get an overinflated sense of their own prowess and good looks because they're far outnumbered by women and therefore are in high demand. Well, is it really overinflated then? If they're really getting a lot of attention and, if they're getting a lot of sex, do they have an overinflated sense of their own prowess and good looks? I mean, I'm not saying that they should be doing what they're doing, but is it overinflated? I don't know. Their sexual and emotional needs are being catered to by dozens of women at any given moment, women to whom these men will never commit. How do young women begin to navigate the dating scene with fewer choices in desirable men? All right. So it goes on to talk a little bit about New York Post article, expose, which talks about how, there's far fewer male college students these days, meaning they're in short supply and high demand when dating on campus, which leads to them to develop golden penis syndrome, an arrogance that stems from the assumption that a steady supply of females will be sexually interested in them. Well, again, it's not an assumption if it's happening. If they're really getting this kind of attention, again, I'm not saying they're behaving in a way that they should be behaving. I'm not applauding their behavior, but I am saying it's that they're being presumptive in thinking that way would seem to be inaccurate. Further, the Brookings Institute reported a precipitous decline in university enrollment among males. Okay, so more about men not enrolling in college as much. Maybe more men are going into trades. That should be a good thing, I think, because college can be great, but today college is useless or worse than useless in most cases. Anyway, so fewer men and more women on college campuses creates a fierce competition among women who wish to find a suitable college boyfriend who may be interested in more than just sex, and they're all too often coming up short. All right. So she says she's a dating coach. She hears from a lot of young women, and what they say goes something like this. I'll be a young woman here. I met Chad. Chad is really hot and sexy. He's super popular, and so many girls like him. I slept with him and fell in love with him, and now he stopped texting me. How do I get him back? That's my girl's voice there. Thank you for your applause. So, how do I get him back? Meaning not how do I get back at him, but how do I win him back? How do I get him to start paying attention to me again? So these guys with quote unquote golden penis syndrome are, according to this article, just using women, using their good looks and their charm to get these women to go to bed with them, and then ghosting them. And the author goes on, who says she's a dating coach. She goes on, through my countless hours of labor and research in helping these women reconcile their heartbreak, I've come to the conclusion that it's entirely possible for women to make a comeback from this walk of shame blunder and regain Sir Golden Penis's fleeting interest. It's entirely impossible. Okay. Once he's gotten his fill of unattached sex, he's gone. Okay. Well, yeah. Yeah, because he does this because he's able to do this, because we're talking about people, we're talking about the men, the Pareto scale men who are the top echelon of men as far as desirability goes. And these are the kind of men that women are drawn to. Not that there's anything, inherently wrong with that. It's part of nature to want to be with somebody who you think will make a good mate or whatever. To be turned on by the things that strike you as masculine and such. But the problem with it is, let's keep on reading. He's been lavish with attention, idolization, emotional investment, and finally sex in exchange for essentially nothing on his part. Bare minimum effort with a few sparse texts, brief initial stage love bombing, a swift top bunk liaison. Top bunk. Woo. Top bunk as opposed to bottom bunk. I don't know if is that some kind of code language. Anyway, and she's left high and dry with some ghosting. This is all too commonplace. Okay. So what this article is about is saying golden penis syndrome. What they're really talking about when they're talking about golden penis syndrome is men who are on the top of the level of desirability insofar as looks or whatever else, or whatever other desirable features they might have. And he even talks about the Pareto principle here. Alpha widow applies here when an unsuspecting young woman might get a night with Chad and is ruined forever for every other man. She's said to have gifted him with lifelong emotional investment that thus no other man will live up to her standards. All right. See, the thing is, I'm not saying it's good. It's a good thing that men are behaving in this way. Sociopathic behaviors, aka bad boy tendencies, are standard among these characters' repertoires. But they're not. But that said, they don't become any less desirable for that, do they? Generally speaking, maybe some women learn their lesson and decide, I'm not just going to I'm going to look for a good guy now. But I mean, it works for these guys, so they keep doing it. And I'm not defending them for doing it. Okay, and then it gets into pickup PUA stuff, and game, and all this kind of thing. So, what strikes me about this article, this last paragraph. If women understood how these men think, and are taught to think by other men who are instructing them on how to get laid without any emotional investment or commitment, they may heed the red flags and warning signs, for now women seem to be on their own, while Chad with a golden phallus is reaping all the rewards of free and unattached sex. Remember a little while ago, I posted a video where I talked about how we should refuse to be used, whoever we are. If you're a man and you're not as high status and you're aware that some woman is using you, who's putting you in the friend zone, as it's commonly called, so that she can use you, for whatever she needs, for emotional support or validation or whatever, and just string you along. Then, if you have self-respect, you don't put up with that. You say, I'm not going to be your. I mean, it's what's the MGTOW guy Sandman rather vulgarly calls using a man as an emotional tampon, but it is a striking metaphor. So don't be used in that way if you're a man, and if you're a woman. See, this whole article is written towards these women who are giving these guys what they want. Why are they giving them what they want? Because they find them desirable. They fall for their charms, and yet it's written in this way that's sort of saying, oh, these cads, these whatever. Well, they're these guys are cads, but you don't have to sleep with them. You can turn them down, So then it goes on to talk about this high quality men. The bad boy is often considered to be alluring among many young women, and the foremost archetypal male trait desired by fertile young men is virility. And what better just demonstrates virility than a bad boy who loves bedding lots of women? Okay, well, they as much as admit this here, that a promiscuous man, a man who sleeps with a lot of women, is attractive, or becomes more attractive for having done so, because he demonstrates his desirability, his virility. Okay. Why don't you join us on Instagram? Get out of there. The issue here is you can't condition and deprogram these base desires out of young women's and preferences. Okay, so it admits that much. But anyway, it's sort of like this whole thing is, the truth is women must teach men how to treat them with respect. No, well, I mean, women have to have respect for themselves, just like men have to have respect for themselves. Women need to refuse to be used in this way. If they have self-respect, they're not going to just be allow themselves to be seduced and bedded and then pumped and dumped, to use another vulgar expression. But the fact is that I don't know whether, I mean, this article kind of skates around this whole matter, but the fact is that a lot of young women, and in the college setting or elsewhere, don't get over, they're still drawn to the man with quote unquote golden penis syndrome. Such a, I just can't get over that designation. Golden penis syndrome. They can't get over it because it's what they find desirable. And so should women like this be coddled? Should they be should they be treated as if they were victims? No, I mean, they know what they're getting into. They should be encouraged to do better. And truly high quality women would do better, would avoid these types of men, and would also avoid the kind of, the whole, oh, well, I can change him. If I can take him and he's so, he sleeps with everybody, but if I can make him my own, then that'll really show my desirability, and I'll really feel validated. All of that kind of nonsense thinking. I just think this article goes a little bit easy on women who are in the thrall of these golden penis, quote unquote, golden penis men. And the whole, again, I would want to just reiterate that if you are a self-respecting person, you don't let yourself be used by anyone, by the opposite sex or anyone else. But in this case, by the opposite sex, you don't let a man use you for sex in order to feed his ego, any more than if you're a man, you allow yourself to be friend-zoned and manipulated and led around by the nose by a woman who's not really interested in you in order to feed her ego and her affirmation. So that's really where it's at here. That's what should be emphasized in this article. Anyway, it's just sort of an interesting article in that it takes note of this issue and of this problem. Even in a publication that's geared mostly towards young, conservative-leaning, anti-feminist women. Let me know what y'all think